Hi, welcome to Lesson 30, Session 3. Today we're going to be continuing our work with writing and evaluating expressions and the order of operations. Today we're really going to be working on writing and interpreting those expressions. So we're going to be given some words and we're going to figure out what in the world do those words mean and how do we turn that into an expression. Or how do we take an expression and write it into words? So that's what we're going to be spending our efforts on today. We're going to be working in our Ready Classroom math workbook on pages 635 through 640. So go ahead and turn to page 635 now. Now, before we get going, I know you're used to seeing the page right away. Before we get going, I wanted to go ahead and look at this little mini poster that I have created. So these are some of the words we might see if we're talking about different types of operations. So if we are supposed to add, we might see a word like sum or plus. These are like math operation words. If we're subtracting, we might see words like minus or difference or subtracted from. All of those words might tell us what difference means. If we're multiplying, we might see words like times, product, or multiplied by. If we're dividing, we might see the quotient or divided by. When we look for these different words, this is the operation that it means. When we see the word and in an expression, the two numbers the and connects are usually inside the parentheses, okay? So for an example, if you saw 8 plus the sum of 3 and 5, knowing that word and really tells us that more than likely that 3 and 5, the sum tells us we're adding, and 3 and 5 are going to be inside of those parentheses. So this is just a nice little cheat sheet. So you may want to take a quick little screenshot of this so that you can remember what you're looking for and the words you're looking for and what does it mean when we see the word and when we're talking about an expression. Awesome. All right, so now let's look at this and see what happens. All right, so it says, write a numerical expression to represent the following phrase. 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. So we already see a lot of really important words in there. So we're not going to look at the numbers right now. We're going to look at the words and what the words tell us. So first of all, we see the word minus. And we remember what operation does, you know what, I'll do that in a minute. I don't want to go there just yet. So we're just underlining the operation words that we see. So we see the word minus and we see the word sum. And then I'm going to go ahead and also underline this and, because that and we know is very important. So when we see the word minus, what operation does that typically mean? That's right. That means that we're going to subtract. When we see the word sum, what does the word sum tell us? Not S-O-M-E, but S-U-M. What does this word sum mean? That's right. It means to add. And then finally, we see the word and. And tells us that the two numbers that are around the word and probably go in between parentheses. So let's go ahead and see if we can write this into an expression. So we have 15 minus, and then it says this, the sum of 6 and 7. So this operation, this plus, actually goes in the middle of those two numbers. So we're going to put in our parentheses in our 6 and 7, and then in the middle, to show the sum of 6 and 7, we're going to put that plus sign right there. So again, this says 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. Again, 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. Do you see how that works? Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and write the words. So 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. And then this 6 is right there. And this 7 is right there. And then I'm going to put and that points to those parentheses, just so that it doesn't always mean parentheses, but in this case it does. So the 15 is shown right here. Minus is that subtraction symbol. The sum is shown by the plus symbol here of 6 and 7. You put your 6 and your 7 in. And then this word and is showing us that 6 and 7 go inside of parentheses. All right, let's go ahead and go to the page 635. So we had the same problem up here. And then, so the book is saying, okay, let's picture it. Let's see what this looks like. So you can use a picture to help understand the problem. So we know that we have 15. And we're subtracting, or we're minusing, but we would never really say minusing because that's not a word. But maybe like in first and second grade, you called it minusing. But it is 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. So as you can see here, we have 15 red dots, and we're subtracting 6 dots plus 7 dots. We know that 6 dots plus 7 dots is 13 dots. So the answer would be 15 minus 13. But we're not being asked to find the answer. I just thought I would point that out to you. But what this looks like in the picture is a total of 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. You can also think about what the words mean to help understand the problem. 15 is just 15. Minus means to subtract. The sum of 6 and 7. A sum is the result of addition, so we would add 6 and 7. So if we think about it in words or we think about it in pictures, that is 2 strategies we can use to help us. Now let's go ahead and look at page 637. So in the expression 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7, do you add or subtract first? Why? So if we were going to do this, if we were going to evaluate this expression, remember we had the expression is 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. So what operation would we do first? Would we add first or would we subtract first? And why? So we would first add the sum of 6 and 7. We need to find that sum before we subtract it from 15. Or before we subtract from 15. Now, when we write the numerical expression, how can you show which operation to do first? So if we didn't have this written yet, and we know that we need to add these two together first, if we want to do it first, that means when we do our orders of operation, remember, first you do the operations inside the grouping symbols. Then you multiply and divide from left to right, and finally you add and subtract from left to right. So if we want to do an operation first, we need to make sure that we put it inside of grouping symbols, so it's the very first thing we do. So we can put parentheses around the 6 and 7 to show that we do that first. So anytime you want to do an operation very first, you have to put parentheses around it so that you know that you're doing it first. Now, what is the numerical expression? Well, we already did it over here, so I'm just going to write it right here. It is 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. Now, Harper wrote the expression 15 minus 6 plus 7 to represent 15 minus the sum of 6 and 7. Evaluate 15 minus 6 plus 7 and then explain why Harper's expression is incorrect. So if we did Harper's expression, we would do it this way. 15 minus 6 plus 7. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do anything in the we're going to do step 1, which is anything inside of the brackets or the parentheses or the braces, okay? The grouping symbols. And so we don't have any. So then we're going to go to step 2. We're going to look for going from left to right. We're going to multiply or divide. We don't have any of that. So then we're going to go to step 3. Starting on the left-hand side, we're going to add or subtract from left to right. So the first thing we're going to do is go, okay, well, we see that subtraction. So first, we're going to do what is 15 minus 6, which is 9. And then we're going to add 7 to that, and then we'll go ahead and just solve. So 9 plus 7 is 16. So why? Now remember, if we evaluated this expression up here, we got the answer of 2. Because remember, we had 15, and so we're subtracting a total of 13. So why did we get the wrong answer? Or not the wrong, well, it is. It says it's incorrect. Why did we get the incorrect answer? That's right. When we use order of operations, when we use, I'm going to call it order of operations. We'll just call it OOO. When we use order of operations, we subtract first instead of add first, because there are no grouping symbols. So if we leave those grouping symbols off, it's going to make a really big difference, because we're not going to get the right answer, because we're going to just subtract and then add instead of add then subtract. Now write a word phrase to show how to interpret Harper's expression. So we would say subtract 6 from 15 and then add 7. It's really pretty basic. There's not much to say, because what we're doing is we're subtracting 6 from 15. That's what we do first, and then we add 7. And that's why it doesn't make sense, because we aren't we don't have any of those parentheses. So for number 6, we've learned a couple of strategies on how to evaluate, how to write expressions. We learned that you could use a picture to help you. We also learned that you could think about what the words mean to help you. So which helped you more, drawing a picture or using the words to help you? And what I did here is we really just used the words to help us, and we used these math operation words that we might see. And we remembered that when we see the word and in an expression, the two numbers that the and connects are usually going to be in parentheses. So what strategy do you like best? And then tell me why. When you're done, we're going to go ahead and go to page 638 and look and see what we see there. All right. Draw a picture to show what the phrase, so this is what we're looking at, 2 times the difference of 8 and 1. So they want us to draw a picture. So first, we need to say, okay, what do we see that we know probably is going to go together? So we know that that word and, this word and tells us that this 8 and 1 are probably going to be inside of parentheses. And then we see the word difference, which we remember that difference, if we look at our math action words, what did difference mean? We're probably going to do, that's right, we're going to subtract. And then times, what does times mean we're going to do? Oh, that's right, that means that we're going to multiply. So if we were going to draw a picture, I would say, okay, let's draw 8 circles. And then we're going to take away one of those circles. Then, so that's going to show us the difference of 8 and 1. And then if I want to see 2 times, I'm going to draw that picture 2 times. So then I'm going to draw it again over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to cross out another one. So I have 2 times the difference of 8 and 1. So what would that be? Well, if we counted all of these open circles, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So let's see if we're right. So I think, so we got, it should be 14. So we know that the expression would be like this. 2 times the difference of 8 and 1. So the expression is 2 times the difference of 8 and 1. And then let's go ahead and evaluate that. So 8 minus 1, it would be 7. 2 times 7 equals 14. And remember, if we added up all those circles, that equaled 14. So our picture does make sense. We had 2 of them, so that shows 2 times. And then we had 8 minus 1. 8 minus 1. Number 8, write an expression for the phrase 6 plus the quotient of 15 and 3. Draw a picture to help if needed. Show your work. I'm not going to draw a picture. Let's just figure out using the words to help us. So, first of all, we have the number 6, and then we see plus. What does plus mean? Plus means that we're going to add. So we know that we're going to add. And then the quotient, what does quotient tell us to do? Ooh, divide. We haven't seen that yet. Divide. And then we see this word and, which means this 15 and 3 go together. So we want to, so we're going to write 6 plus the quotient of 15 and 3. 15 and 3 go inside with the division symbol. 6 plus the quotient of 15 and 3. And we know that that 15 and 3 need to be done first, so we put them inside of the parentheses. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. All right, let's go to number 9. Which phrase correctly interprets the expression below? So we have a 24 minus 1/2 times the sum of 3 and 5. So remember that this multiplication sign means of. This, oh, you know what? I'm going to add that because we didn't put that on this one. I'm going to add, this is similar to the right color, the word of. Because we know that of also often means multiplication. All right, so which ones start with 24? Ooh, A starts with 24, so that could be it. B starts with 24, so that could be it. Ooh. Ooh. Subtracted from 24, that would work. Half of 3 subtracted from 24 and then add 5. Ooh, that is definitely not true. All right, the only one I could rule out for sure right away was D. Now let's look at C. C says half the sum of 3 and 5. So half the sum of 3 and 5, okay, that works. Subtracted from 24. Ooh, yeah, that one could definitely be it. So let's go ahead and put a line next to it. 24 minus, okay, 24 minus half of 3 and then add 5. Oh no, because we know that the first step would be the sum of 3 and 5. Like we would know that we have to at least add that 3 and 5 together. So, okay, B definitely doesn't work. Let's look at C. 24 plus. Oh, are we doing 24 plus anything? No, we definitely are not. So using process of elimination and knowing that C was probably right, we're going to go ahead and we have eliminated the other answers, so we know that C is the right. This says half the sum of 3 and 5 subtracted from 24. This one's pretty tricky though. That one I would say is probably the hardest one we've done yet today because we've kind of learned how to do it all in order. And this one, it kind of says it out of order, but it's still correct. So with that, you're going to go ahead and do pages 639 and 640 on your own. And if you have any questions, you can always email your teacher. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.